A to Z Mysteries, Book Number 13, The Missing Mummy, by Ron Roy. Chapter 3. Dr. Tweed was standing by the front doors, talking with two police officers. Dink dashed over to them. "Excuse me," he said, his mouth suddenly dry. "Can we help you?" one of the officers asked. The name tag on her shirt read, S. Washington. "My friend found the mummy in the ladies' room," Dink said. "Show us," said the other officer. His name tag read, P. Peters. Everyone rushed over to where Josh and Ruth Rose were standing outside the restrooms. "Will you come inside with me?" Officer Washington asked Ruth Rose. Ruth Rose and the officer walked into the restroom. A few seconds later, they both came out again. "Dr. Tweed, will you step in with me, please?" Officer Washington said. Dr. Tweed followed the officer back inside the restroom. "So where was it?" Josh asked Ruth Rose. "You know those tables they have so parents can change a baby's diaper?" she said. "It was right there on the table." "In plain sight?" Dink asked. Ruth Rose nodded. "At first I thought it was a big doll, so I took a closer look." "Yuck," Josh said. The restroom door opened again. Officer Washington walked out, with Dr. Tweed behind her. He was carrying the child mummy in his arms. "The mummy seems to be undamaged," Dr. Tweed said, "but I'll have to examine it in my office." Dr. Tweed and the two police officers crossed the lobby and disappeared through the door behind the counter. "I guess we might as well go home," Dink said. "Some mummy Monday," Ruth Rose grumbled. "Look, there's a cafeteria," Josh said. "Let's get something to drink." The kids entered the large room, paid for cold drinks, and sat at a round table. "I wonder where the thief went after she left the mummy in the restroom," Ruth Rose said as she sipped her lemonade. "What do you mean?" Dink asked. "There weren't any windows in there, so she couldn't have gone out that way," Ruth Rose said. "And if she'd come through the door, she would have bumped right into us." "But a woman did come out," Josh said. "Remember, she was talking on a cell phone?" "Yeah, but she looked totally different," Ruth Rose said. "Maybe she was in disguise," Dink said. "Maybe the mummy snatcher changed clothes in the restroom." "She might have hidden her dress in the briefcase," Josh said. "And the blonde hair could have been a wig." "Guys, I just realized something," Ruth Rose said. "When that woman came out of the restroom, she walked toward the tomb. Maybe she went back to steal something else." The kids left their drinks on the table and ran to the tomb. "Open sesame," Josh said. He pressed the stone and the door rumbled open. Tiny lights shone from the tomb ceiling, casting shadows on the floor. The child mummy's sarcophagus lay empty. Its lid still leaned against the wall. The other two mummies stood guard over the room. Ruth Rose grabbed Dink and Josh and pointed them toward the treasure chamber. Without speaking, the three tiptoed under the arch. The treasure chamber, like the tomb, had a stone floor partly covered with sand and gravel. The walls were also stone, with no windows. "She's not here," Dink whispered, glancing into the chamber's dim corners. His arms suddenly bristled with goosebumps. "Yeah, but look at all the gold," Josh said, pressing his nose up against a glass display case. There were 6 cases in the chamber. 4 were filled with pottery and farming equipment. The other 2 held gold carvings and jewelry. "You'd think if someone wanted to steal something," Dink said, "it'd be this treasure, not a mummy." "These cases are locked and they have alarms," Ruth Rose said. She pointed to thin gray wires running along the edges of each case. Suddenly, Dink heard a low rumbling noise. "What's that?" he asked. "It sounds like the tomb door," Ruth Rose said. The kids ran back into the tomb. They were just in time to see the wall slide shut. Josh ran to the wall and tried to force it open with his fingers. When he turned around, his face was white. "We're locked in," he said. Chapter 4. "There must be a way to open the door from in here," Ruth Rose said. "Let's look for a switch or something." The kids searched the walls near the door, but found nothing that would open it. "But why did the door close in the first place?" Josh asked. "You might have set off an alarm when you touched the case," Ruth Rose said. "If she's right," Dink said, "someone will hear the alarm and come to see who's in here. All we have to do is wait." "Wait in here?" Josh squeaked. "It won't be for long," Dink said. "Any second now, that door will slide open again." "Yeah, well, let's wait in the treasure chamber," Josh muttered. "Those mummies are creeping me out." "They're just dust," Ruth Rose said. "But they're dead dust," Josh said, heading into the chamber. The kids sat on the floor and leaned against a wall. The room was silent. The ceiling lights cast a soft glow onto the gold inside the cases. "I've always dreamed of being locked in a room full of gold," Josh said. "But now that I am, I'd rather be home." Minutes passed, then more minutes. No one came to rescue them. The stone door in the tomb remained solidly shut. "No one knows we're in here," Josh muttered. "We could be trapped forever. We'll die and become mummies." "Our parents all know we're at the museum," Ruth Rose said. "If I'm not home for supper, my dad will call." "But by then the museum will be closed," Josh insisted. "No one will answer the phone." "Then my folks will drive here," Ruth Rose said. "Or they'll call the police," Dink said. "All we have to do is sit here and chill out." "I'm already chilled," Josh mumbled. "This place feels like the inside of a refrigerator." Dink grinned. "Gee, Joshua, I thought you'd be happy inside a refrigerator." "Very funny, Donald," Josh muttered. "Plus, I'm sitting on gravel. Why can't they have carpets like normal people?" Ruth Rose stood up and wiped gravel and sand off her shorts. "Josh is right. Let's see if we can find someplace more comfortable to sit," she said. "Like home," Josh said. "Or like this," Ruth Rose said. She had opened a small door cut into the stone wall. "It's some kind of closet," Dink said, peering inside. "Egyptians didn't have closets," Josh said. The kids saw folding chairs, cleaning supplies, and a stack of carpet pieces. "The carpet squares must be for kids to sit on," Ruth Rose said. "Let's spread them out." The kids covered the closet floor with carpet squares, then lay down. "This is more like it," Josh said, making himself comfortable. "Now, if someone would just bring me some pizza and a soda, I'd be happy." "Would you share it with the mummies?" Ruth Rose asked Josh. "Nope." More time passed. Dink yawned and his eyes grew heavy. He pulled the closet door shut, darkening the small room. Then he lay down, and they all drifted off to sleep. Suddenly, a huge blast shook the room. The folding chairs fell over with a crash, and a box of cleaning stuff flew off a shelf. Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose bolted up out of a sound sleep. "What the heck was that?" Josh said. "It sounded like a bomb." "I smell smoke," Ruth Rose said in the dark. Dink opened the closet door a crack, then pulled it shut again. "The place is filled with dust," he said, wiping his eyes. "What happened?" Ruth Rose asked. Just then Dink heard voices. Someone's out there, Josh said. We're rescued. Quiet, Dink whispered. They wouldn't bomb the place to rescue us. Dink nudged the door open a crack. He peered through the floating dust, then suddenly scooted back. Two shapes in dark clothing slipped past the closet, inches from the kids' noses. Both carried black gym bags. As the kids watched, the two figures separated, stopping in front of two of the glass cases. Dink heard glass breaking, and then a piercing alarm bell sounded. Grab as much as you can, then we're out of here, one of the intruders said. They're not here to rescue us, Dink whispered. They're here to steal the mummy's gold.